Hello, this video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon and my members on YouTube. Minasan, arigatou gozaimasu. It's the 26th day of December, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, an exercise that I do each and every morning, a little bit after waking up. It's now 4:47 a.m. I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can get a copy of from the link down in the description. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the various challenges and opportunities that I met, including while I was asleep. If I was kept awake, for example, if anything was haunting in my head and keeping me awake, I like to address that too. I use the time to prepare for the coming day, and then I prepare myself to die. A very important part of this process. As sobering as it sounds. But before I do any of that, I like to read a poem. So we're going to try a third time for Edward Thomas's poem, Home. There we go. Home by Edward Thomas. Not the end, but there's nothing more. Sweet summer and winter rude I have loved, and friendship and love, the crowd and solitude. But I know them, I weary not, but all that they mean I know. I would go back again home now, yet how should I go? This is my grief. That land, my home, I have never seen. No traveler tells of it, however far he has been. And could I discover it, I fear my happiness there, or my pain, might be dreams of return, here to these things that were. Remembering ills, though slight, yet irremediable, brings a worse, an impurer pang, than remembering what was well. No, I cannot go back, and would not if I could. Until blindness come, I must wait and blink at what is not good. I think that'll be the final pass of that one. Home, a place wanting to go back to, but knowing it doesn't really exist, so needing to remain where they are until they're not able to see the reality of what never was, but was just a hoped for fiction in the mind. A sobering poem for sure. Sober poem for sure. Last night and yesterday. I slept good last night. Slept good. Solid, sound, and deep. It's good that those days have returned. Yesterday was Christmas Day. Very simple day. If it hadn't been for our neighbor, Yumiko and I wouldn't have done anything. This was our first Christmas without our daughter, and in hindsight, we probably should have done something, but we just basically let it come, and we spent the day together, walking the dogs. We watched a couple of shows together, had our meals. It was very much a day of together, but in hindsight, we recognize that if we're going to maintain our integrity as individuals and as a couple in our new life that we're headed towards, then we need to sustain the traditions. We shouldn't let traditions like Christmas or New Year's or other things, important cultural traditions that might exist in Japan, come and go without recognizing, participating in them. So yesterday was a cautionary tale, a tale of neglect in a way. Part of the reason we didn't do anything was that our daughter wasn't around, and she had always been the locus and focus of our efforts for the holidays, particularly for Christmas. And without her, we just thought we just kind of let it pass. That was a mistake. So we won't make that mistake again. In fact, if this is just dream, but if we are able to get an old-fashioned Japanese house, watch me put Christmas lights on it. And Christmas in the future. And Christmas is of the future to come. Although there is no guarantee of any future to come. But that's why I can picture it in my mind. So I guess we can say that yesterday was a strong and abiding lesson in the importance of tradition and community, family, etc. I found that something, just changing the subject just a little bit, I found that during my walks, ever since I've given up, well, I mean, I gave up the idea of free will years ago when I added it to the creed, right, with the principle called the pirate ride. But it was a wishful thinking. I was like, I was certain that free will didn't exist, but I couldn't prove it, and I didn't believe it. Although it would be like an astronomer feeling or sensing the evidence of tidal forces upon the earth, maybe measuring it in some oblique way or some empirical way, and inferring a celestial body hidden out there amongst the planets that is impacting the orbits or the tides or something like that. Something out there. That's how I felt about free will all this time. It's not real. I'm pretty sure that it's not real. I can't demonstrate that that's the case, but I'm pretty sure. In fact, I went so far as in my past meditations to describe this as a tenet held on faith. But now that I've crossed over to the other side, that I truly do not believe in free will anymore. And my mind is convinced that that's the case. So many things have changed. Well, the main thing being that I haven't changed my behavior, or how I respond to challenges and opportunities. That's all seems to be on autopilot. It's part and parcel and character and part of the force and inertia of the man that I've become after 59 years. I can't operate otherwise. But what has changed is my sense of connection and responsibility for these things. Even the tough stuff. I really am like a man floating on an inner tube down a river with my hands in my lap. The river is carrying me down. And I'm along for the ride, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen around the next corner. Will there be gentle, still, deep waters? Will there be exciting rapids? Will there be a waterfall? Will I finally arrive at the sea? Or will there be a log jam to puncture my raft and drown me all of a sudden? Not so sure. And what about the others on their rafts, on their inner tubes all around me? Likewise. It's the strangest feeling. It has a very, I think the word that comes to mind is enervating effect. Is that right? Even enervating. I'm not even sure, but that word just, see, it's the lack of will, right? It just, these things just come. They just appear. I don't know where these thoughts arrive from. They're part of the unfolding, winding pathway of my life. But I hold my head higher. I stand straighter. I walk more concretely insofar as with more determined steps. I really notice this when I'm out walking with my wife. I don't feel driven to fill the space with words. The Japanese are much better with silence than Americans are, and I've always struggled with that. But I'm becoming more like them in a way. It's just okay if there's nothing to say. It's just fine. Watching everything happen around me as we're walking about, stepping into the intersection with more deliberate. It's not like I step in to the intersection and don't look at it both ways, because heck, it's not in my control anyway. No, I'm even more deliberate. It's a strange contradiction to be so much more attentive and alive, seemingly alive, now that I don't believe in free will than before when I did. Maybe it's because now that I know that the bus that's coming for me will run me over whether I like it or not. Okay, this is not, now I'm stepping into the territory of determinism, and I don't think the universe is determined. I don't think I don't think it's written in stone how things are going to wind out. Nobody knows the ending. because of the randomness of the universe, if it's just emerging from the quantum world. But anyway, I'm kind of delving down back into that. I seem to, every one of these meditations lately, I'm winding my way back to this astonishing change in my life where I no longer truly believe in free will. But it really is an astonishing thing, and I don't know how anybody can experience this. I don't know how to suggest anyone to discover this. It really sounds like the faithful, right? I mean, it's like when I was a religious person and people would tell me, you just have to have faith. Once you believe, you'll know. And I did believe for a while, and I did know. And then I stopped believing, and I realized that that knowing was a consequence of the believing that I no longer knew, the believing that I knew. Maybe likewise, now the experience that I'm having now is a consequence of believing that free will isn't really a thing. Anyway, I think I've gone on long enough about that. So yesterday was an impactful day, a meaningful day, in many regards. Now, let's switch to the good life. I'm going to dwell today, and today is day 355 in my countdown to retirement. I'm going to dwell on the objective called do one thing at a time. So when I start the creed, start reciting the objectives one by one, when I get to that one, which I think is number 5 or 6, I'll stop and go into it in detail. Here we go. Objective number 1 of the Good Life Creed, and you can read about all of these in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. Number 1 is to be always ready to die. 2, to make good and effective use of my time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize true limits and true opportunities. Here we go, is number 7. 7, to do one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. I do that for its own sake. Careful, cautious, deliberate steps, the enunciation of my words, the solicitation of thoughts, the rounding out of an idea before explaining it, the careful listening of someone else, making sure that they put a bit of punctuation at the end of what they're saying, and I've given them a little pause afterwards before I respond, to not overlap or trespass over their ideas, to walk slowly and just carefully and deliberately, to entertain a single thought, to do one task at work, to not overlap the things that I'm attempting to complete, unless it's absolutely necessary. Like if I need to be, for example, at the side of the road, fixing a flat tire while also simultaneously looking for cars that are racing along the road. That's two things. If it makes sense to do things simultaneously or multitask, then that certainly makes sense. But certainly not at work, which is where I most often do this. Get all bound up and stressed out and try to complete multiple things at once. I think I've gotten past that, my 355 remaining days. There, I think I've said enough of that. The last of the objectives is to keep my balance, equilibrium, my focus, my good grounding in all things, physical and mental. Okay, let's attempt to get through the 35 principles in order, properly enunciated and complete. I'll take note. Here we go. My 35 principles of the Good Life Creed are the principle of war, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, nature, pirate ride, maturity, social principle, family, public speaking. I got hung up here 3 days ago, didn't I? Same place. Public speaking. Temperance, maybe? Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be born. The feast of offal. Distraction. Agency and the great indifference. The best seat in the house. The restless man. The path of wildness. The great life adventure. The risk of avoiding risk. Sin and damnation. Complete oblivion. The season of philosophy. Script writing. The bullseye aim. The uphill climb. Arena and utility. Nothing is enough. The principle of fun and being prepared. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Got them. In the right order. So now I can scratch off. So now let's segue over to what I'm going to do today. So I always have, every day starts off with a checklist. So here's all the personal things I'm going to do, and here's all the work-related things I'm going to do. So I can scratch a lot of these off. The poem, I've read. The Good Life Meditation, I'm doing that now. YouTube comments, I've already responded to. I did that before I turned the camera on. Likewise with Meta. I did all my email already before I turned the camera on. Next up, I have the things I have to do is the Bible. So I'm reading from the book of Luke this morning. Then I'll illustrate the book for Juliana. And then I'll update my journal. And then update, if I get time at lunch, I'm going to work on my Shrines and Temples YouTube channel. That's everything. Oh, and I'm going to finish the day off with an ocean swim. I haven't been in the water for a couple of days because I was sick, but I'm feeling better. I went back in and I went back in once over the weekend on Sunday. That was good. There we go. I'm halfway through, and then I've got all the work stuff I got to do. How about death? Am I ready to die? This is really important. I don't spend enough time on this. I don't talk enough about this because it's an awkward, uncomfortable subject for some people. But I need to get over that. This is really important. Maybe one of the most important parts of this meditation. Death or serious disability may arrive at any time. Not just for me, for those around me, my loved ones, my friends, and my family, and my neighbors, strangers even. Am I ready for that? Well, let's deal with it with the people around me, and then I'll deal with it personally, or maybe I'll do it vice versa. Maybe that's better. Personally, I measure my readiness by 3 things. 1, are my affairs in order? I don't want to leave my family with a mess, and they are. 2, are my relationships sound? I want to be in the best communication and state of contact with the people in my life as possible, and I am. 3, is my life's work complete? And I define my life's work as the raising of my daughter and the writing of my book. And for all intents and purposes, they're both complete. Emily's final tuition is paid off. Got a few more rents to pay off for her apartment, and she's good. The book is totally done. I'm ready to die. I can die now without a single backwards glance. That's the state of readiness I want to be in. No need to turn back and say goodbye to anybody. I'm just ready to go. Of course, I will never know if that's really the case unless I'm actually put to that test. But to the best of my ability on this side of death, I think I'm ready for that. Am I ready for my wife and daughter, or brother, or niece and nephew, or mother, or my friends and neighbors to die? Well, especially now that I'm no longer saddled with the idea of free will. That prepares me even more so for that. It sounds like an escapism, doesn't it? It's not. It's a consequence. It's like finding, oh, it's got power windows too, you know, the new car. So yeah, I think so. Again, practice is something else relative to theory, right? I'll delve more into this again. The last thing, though, that I did want to illustrate was turning back to myself again, thinking about how I might die and thinking about the ways it may go. Now, I could today have an aneurysm. I should study upon that. I should learn what it's like to have an aneurysm, how it is to die. I should study the mechanisms of various types of death so that I'm aware of them, because it's the fear of the usually it's what we don't know that scares us the most. I would like to know what it's like to die of an aneurysm as best as anybody can possibly know. I could die of a heart attack, which could be painful, sudden, lingering, etc. Oh boy, this is a dark area, isn't it? But probably good no more than one mechanism a day to talk about that. But I think it's good. It brings the grounding back, right? I'll tell you one thing. This readiness for death thing is a catalyst to action. Boy, I tell you, I do so much. People on Egon on the Discord was commenting about how I should relax more, and I was mentioning that I don't relax. I'll do that when I'm dead. I have a lot of things that I want to do, and I'm a very active, energetic human being. And I don't want to relax. I want to be active and engaged. Like if I'm here and I don't have anything to do, if I'm all caught up at work's all done, I've got everything done, what I typically do is I'll take my book and I'll go step outside into the patio, and I'll walk on the patio and step up the stairs and down the stairs while reading my book. I don't slow down. I don't stop. I don't relax. I don't watch TV. The only time I ever watch TV is if I'm watching it with my wife, and even then, I can't watch a full movie. It's impossible for me to sit through a full movie. I can watch maybe a quarter of. It would take us 4 days to watch a movie together. I don't relax. I've been like this all my life, to me, it's a feature, not a bug. I really like being this way. I get so much done, and I really enjoy it. It's like being in a Disneyland and racing around to ride all the rides, right? I don't want to sit on the bench. So I don't want to look at the flowers. I want to get on the roller coaster some more. Okay, let's round this off. Thanks for joining me. This is a long one. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.